The long dark spread across the surface like a bubbling tar, blotting out the sun. So many died on that day, lost in the inconceivable abominations that reclaimed the landscape. It has been years since humanity was forced into hiding, buried underneath the surface in a bid against total extermination. The old gods are dead, buried in our colosseums and monuments to our hubris and endurance. Our gods are silent, but the earth remains alive. Long have we survived on the fringes of annihilation, banked in all corners of the world, nestled and sheltered in our cages of iron and steel. We were once the kings of our world, but now we find ourselves dethroned in an exile. The surface is lost, reclaimed by the long dark above, and we are losing food and water by the day. Our civilization dwindles. With each day we pass underground. Friendships now turn to blood feuds over crumbs of molded bread. Sons begin to kill fathers over barrels of dried meat, and the waters are going dry. There are those that dare dream of other worlds that are not bound by bone and stone, of open lands where fruit once grew, and the streams were once bright with life-giving water. As mankind has done before, they find themselves hustling for ascendance to bite into the forbidden fruit that the surface once yielded. Some say that it is foolhardy, a death sentence for those that dare brave the cavern paths above, which are uncharted and full of terror. But it is those that refuse the certain slow death of the underground world that call themselves the Luminate, the Lanterns, the Lightbringers. They seek to pave the way back to the surface in order to reclaim what was once lost, no matter what the cost.
You all wake up. It is dark and dank in this cave. The faint luminescence of mushrooms in the distance, are your only source of illumination. Unless you have, dark vision or something. You wake up. Bathor is kind of restless. New Hope should be about 2 hours from here. I suggest we start hoofing it.
I agree, let's go before more of those creatures come.
That would be most unpleasant. I am going to cast Mage Armor and give myself 10 temporary hit points. Well, a shield with 10 hit points.
Alright, so your armor is cast as a shimmer around your body. You feel a lot more protected than you were just a moment ago. Bathor raises an eye.
I kind of want to be like, nah, he's cool. It's fine, don't worry about it. Fine, it's what he does.
Seeing what people with magic's weird in this universe right now, right?
It's kissing up against taboo. It pretty much is, actually. It's accepted that it's here, and I don't think there's any kind of witch hunt happening, because God, who has the time or energy or resources to do that in the situation right now? But it is still kind of looked at sideways, because I think I almost want to say there's a magical thing to the force that drove everyone underground to begin with, so everyone's kind of skeptical and unsure and unappreciative of that sort of stuff. That's the sense I get anyway.
Well, I mean, you were still very much in your infancy when everything kind of went belly up, but you kind of always assumed that magic was pretty rare. It's kind of like seeing someone be able to do superhuman feats of strength in, town square. So, Bathor kind of travels off northwards, disappears around a corner. Do you guys follow?
Yeah.
So, time passes. You guys are wandering through the cave. Bathor provides pretty good instructions and keeps his distance enough so that you can, travel it with him. And you guys find yourselves in a, big opening. The cavern kind of widens out, and you see a cylinder. Well, yeah, I guess a cylinder would be an appropriate way to describe it, but there's a cylinder basin that kind of drops down pretty much into obscurity. You look over the side, and on either side of the path that you're going into, as you cut into the heart of the cylinder, you notice that there's big pits on either side of them. these small bioluminescence of the special mushrooms that are been kind of lighting your path are adorned on either side of this path. He points at the cylinder, and it's hard to see what the mushrooms are kind of giving you a little bit of light into it, but past 60 feet, it's kind of hard to see because you guys are still kind of far away. That's New Hope.
Oh, the cylinder is New Hope?
A large arch adorned in vines kind of towers over you as you pass through the opening. It says in Runic script, New Hope, and you see what you would expect from a normal town. You see small residential areas. On either side, the town is kind of based on the cylinder basin, but there's like a straight road that goes through it that bisects the town. So you see like rows of houses on your right side, respective to you guys. And on the left side, you see kind of like town shops. If butchery still existed, there would be a butchery. Like just basic amenities like clockwork, parts, grocery stores, basically. You know, just full of like fungal stuff. And that goes on, and you notice also that there's no one in town.
Are there any lights or anything like that?
Aside from the luminescent glow of the mushrooms that kind of are just strewn around and kind of forced to grow around the basin, around the main path, you see nothing. Just like an eerie blue glow. The place has been boarded up for a couple days now. I kind of just drop off my supplies and take my leave.
Where are the town residents?
Roll me a perception check. Everyone else is free to do so as well.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, nice. Okay, Krusk, you notice that there are people in the background. They're just kind of like huddled down beside windows, and as you guys pass, they kind of quietly close said windows, shutter them closed.
What's making these townspeople so fearful? Is it our arrival?
New Hopians have always been kind of skittish when it comes to new faces. Can't say I blame them.
We're of no harm.
Yeah, well, you know, can only expect so much from people who have seen so much.
Have you traveled much farther beyond New Hope?
Bathor kind of is a little bit taken aback, and he takes a moment's pause while he tries to muse the question. Yeah, you would say I'm a bit of an enterprising type.
You ever been to Viridian?
Viridian? Next thing you'll be asking me is whether or not Camelot exists.
I thought so. Worth a shot.
So he goes to this, like, I mean, it's kind of indistinguishable from the rest of the storefronts that you guys are passing, but he kind of ducks into one on the left side that has a sign that proudly says the Horned Devil over it. And there's a little, like, you know, woodwork that kind of show, like, ram's horns kind of coming out on either side on the left and right edges.
Oh. Fancy.
Zeem! You hear Bathor yell. Zeem, I got your shit! And you hear, like, just a minute. And you hear some futzing about outside of the door. And then you hear, like, a couple of locks click open. And then, oh, Bathor, you're back earlier than I expected. Yeah, Zeem, I picked up some travelers along the way. They saved my life, actually. And he kind of flourishes to you guys.
Yes.
You are looking at a very beautiful, slender tiefling woman. She has kind of like a burnt senna, muddish brown type of complexion, piercing violet eyes, and ram horns that kind of like twist up and kind of point forward type of deal. She's wearing like shopkeeper clothes. Hey, well met, I suppose. Any friend of Bathor's is a friend of mine. Well met. And she ushers you into the Horned Devil. The place is a bit unkempt. It's clear that she's picking up the scraps from last night. Lots of overturned chairs and tables. So, what brings you here this time, Bathor? I got you what you wanted, and he drops down a sack. Oh, excellent, marvelous. Let me put this behind the bar. And she kind of grabs like a big sack bag that he drops off his shoulder. You're surprised because it's kind of big that she's able to carry it so well. She's stronger than she looks, and she puts it behind the bar gently.
I'm trying to decide if I've met a tiefling before.
I'll leave that up to you.
Are tieflings, like, uncommon in this universe?
Pretty uncommon, yeah.
I'm between trying to not stare awkwardly and trying to decide when would be a polite time to ask for a warm beer after sleeping on a cave floor all night.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure all of us want a beer after dealing with a bunch of monsters and escorting a dwarf.
Not to be a bother, but is this the place where some folk can get a warm meal and glass of wine? Oh dear, I would appreciate that.
You want a warm glass of wine?
Mulled, yes. Oh, that would be lovely.
Well,
I'll have your strongest ale.
I will take warm slurry out of the bottom of a barrel at this point.
Just backwash.
That's disgusting.
I didn't have fucks to give before we left, like now.
Something to wash the taste of troglodyte out of the mouth.
Please.
She takes a candle from behind the bar and gets a nice little fluted glass without a stem. Like it's like just a glass flute, and she pours this ochre red liquid into it, and then she kind of does something with her fingers, and the candle flame roars a little bit more, and it kind of heats under the glass. After a few moments, she hands it to you, Carrick.
Ah, thanks so much.
No problem. This time on the house. And she looks at you, Embrin, and she kind of twitches her nose at the thought of her, providing what you asked for.
It was a joke.
Would you like something that's a little bit more palatable?
I mean, if you have it, I wouldn't say no. I'm grinning ear to ear as I say this, you know?
She passes you what appears to be an amber ale, and to you, Krusk, she hands you the same.
Oh, good. I immediately start chugging it down.
It has a kick, but it's very nice. Kind of bitter, with floral fragrance on the back end.
Ah, Krusk, this is probably the first time in a while, eh?
When I was young and they had us in prison, they would force us things like gin to help us sleep, but this is the first ale I've had ever. That's why I wanted to try it.
Oh, wow.
Really? That's the most common beverage we carry here.
I'll give you a secret, Krusk.
So,
it is best to enjoy drinks like this slowly, because then it gets time to blossom.
Yeah, that is surprisingly astute for one that asked me to deliver slurry from the bottom of the barrel.
I slept on the cave floor last night.
I look at Amber, my eyes glower, and I immediately just start chugging harder.
This only makes me laugh.
Careful, I think you should probably slow down on that. It does have a kick on the back end.
He'll be fine, I'm sure.
Still, and she kind of looks around the bar. Still, I don't want a repeat of last night.
Oh, yeah, you know what? Did something happen? It's kind of disorderly, I guess.
Well, there was a proper riot that happened yesterday. A couple of foragers went out of town for a while, and people have been kind of antsy, and they haven't come back.
Tell me about these foragers.
Well, there's 3 of them, and she kind of turns her head. There's Marcus, there's Orlus, and there's Epitus. They're good folk. They've been working the Underdark for a while now, kind of grabbing our mushrooms, and I mean, you saw the illuminated path on the way here. A lot of those were actually cultivated by them, brought here, and replanted.
Interesting. So what would these foragers have done to have caused a riot?
Their disappearance? It's been a week now.
How far out of town were they headed?
See, the thing is that Marcus is pretty tight-lipped, and he's the most vocal of the group. Most of them just kind of keep to themselves, and he didn't really mention where he was going. Just kind of north, you know. She kind of gestures to where you assume the bisected path that I was mentioning. It's on the opposite side from where you guys came from, so it'd be like a straight shot through the town.
Have their foraging trips been taking longer than usual lately?
Well, that's part of the reason why we're all so concerned. They are taking a lot longer now.
Perhaps the forage near the town needs time to recover.
Yeah, that's my concern, is that we're running low on supplies. These people eat a lot, you know?
We fought creatures in the caves on the way here. Perhaps the foragers met similar trouble?
Perhaps. I can't say any place is safe nowadays.
Are they well armed?
She kind of sucks her teeth. I mean, Pedus is martially oriented, you know? He used to be a guard back before everything went to shit.